to talk about something you sent me last week, and I remember I was supposed to talk about it, but the podcast was already like 2.5 hours long, so I figured we just talk about it this week. It was about senior citizens volunteering for like small business jobs or something like that.
Yeah, I like saw the article. I didn't even read the article, but I saw it because I thought it was very interesting. Because the workforce right now, as we know it, I don't know if y'all heard of the Great Resignation or not, but a lot of people have quit their jobs like this year. Like over 4 million people quit their fucking jobs, and most of the people that quit their jobs are actually millennials, people our age and shit. So, we see on the internet like all these different places like McDonald's and Dunkin' Donuts and shit talking about nobody wants to work anymore. Everybody's on unemployment, so nobody wants to come back. And I'm like, no, that is not what's happening. What's happening is people are finally understanding that they're not fucking wage slaves and that they deserve more. You know what I'm saying? So with that, a lot of people started quitting their jobs, and a lot of people who had jobs in like office buildings and shit like that, they want to work from home and they want more money from the money they've been paying now because, as you know, shit is getting more expensive now. And with the recent like hurricanes and tropical storms and climate change happening and shit, like people are understanding that this world, bruh, is deteriorating. It's deteriorating right before our very eyes. So I find it very interesting that old people are trying to step up, and they were trying to frame it as if there's this, senior citizens are stepping up to work because other people don't want to work. And it's like, no, that's not what's happening. People want to work. People understand the importance of work, but there needs to be a work-life balance. Did you know the United States is the only country in this motherfucking earth that does not guarantee sick leave or doesn't guarantee maternal leave either? Like other countries, you are guaranteed maternal leave. In America, you have to negotiate for that shit. They don't give it to you straight up. And what I find so funny is motherfuckers can catch COVID and still be expected to go back to work. You know what I'm saying? People have lost their jobs for being sick. People have lost their benefits because they don't have jobs anymore. And it's gotten to a point where even if you unionize, like your union has to be pretty special to get like a lot of shit because, corporate interests and lobbies and shit, they have a lot of power in the political world. They have a lot of power. They send politicians a lot of money so they can get away with certain shit. So a union would actually, be beneficial for everybody. Like I did some research in Sweden, like they're all unions. You know what I'm saying? They have very, very, very powerful unions that advocate for the workers in political spaces. That's why like they don't get cucked over there in Sweden when it comes to their work. They don't get cucked over there in the Nordic countries. A lot of European countries, there's a healthy work-life balance. There was even a thing that said we even work like during the year we work more hours than the Japanese. And the Japanese, like they have a word for death by overwork. It's called karoshi, death by overwork. I saw another documentary about South Korea about the delivery drivers. People, like 12 people died from overwork from the delivery drivers because when COVID shut everything down, everybody started ordering shit online. So the people that drive the delivery trucks have to get there early, like 4 a.m. They have to load the inventory into the trucks, which they don't get paid for, by the way. They do not get paid for loading the inventory on the trucks. And they have to drive. And some people can they can deliver up to like midnight. You know what I'm saying? Every single day, just doing it and doing it and doing it to the point where somebody was in a coma, even, and they had a rally for the person, and they were trying to tell them like, "Yo, these people are like working their asses off. These people like deserve benefits, not only just benefits, but like decrease the workload because this is a lot of motherfucking work." So with this article that I saw, it just brought everything into perspective. Like, bro, you are not a slave. You are not somebody that, you don't have to go to these jobs and work 50 fucking hours just to have a decent life. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the fact that they're trying to frame this narrative that old people are trying to save the economy by working these low wage jobs, fuck that shit. There's an agenda going on out here. They're trying to disempower the American worker, and I see that shit for what it is. Like, no, we're not doing that shit.
Where's the lie?
There's no lie told.
I like that article. I like that topic a lot because I'm a victim of that. They didn't give me a maternity leave. I had to beg for it. In fact, I had the doctor's wife call me to ask me if I got the memo while I was in bed resting about the birth. She said, well, we'll call you to come back, all because I'm on bed rest. And to top it off, I had to get back to work after giving birth to my child 2 weeks after, with stitches in my stomach, or else I would have lost my job. So I definitely agree that, the article was making it looking like we don't want to work. But I can guarantee that a lot of people are taking advantage. And if you're low income, what are you going to do? Do you have time to go and get a lawyer? Do you have time to fight for the rights that they put up in the lunchroom? No, you don't have the time. You need time to discuss what they're really doing with to you. You need the evidence to back it up, and then pay. Let me tell you, when I finally quit that same job that took fucking advantage of me, and I allowed it to happen because I didn't know any better, being a young mom and just wanting to pay for rent and stuff, I didn't have the luxury to quit. But when I finally had all my ducks in a row and I was able to quit, let's just say they didn't want to give me my last paycheck. Now, I'm from Brooklyn, so I can't really tell you guys what I did to get back at that bitch, but just so you know, it was very unfair. And, it's a lot of medical assistants that went through the same shit as me.
In other words, it was handled.
You could say that.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm gonna use the Olivia Pope word. It's handled. So, all right.
I think we all have a fucked up story like that involving that job.
Yeah, mine was my parents, but it got handled.
Yeah, because what ended up happening to me, this was a couple years back. Hey, stop yelling. So there was one job I was working back when I was living in Landover. I worked at night. Luckily, the place was walking distance from my mom's place where I was living at the time, so it is what it is. I actually ended up getting jumped by some motherfuckers that were attempting to rob me. I ended up getting hold of one of them motherfuckers sometime afterwards and got my revenge, but that's beside the point. I ended up calling out of work that night. Told the manager, or whatever, what happened, this, that, and the third. They gave me that night off, but I still had to come into work the next night, face still banged up and shit. They saw this, but tell me why. Okay, the incident happened. They gave me the night off. I went to work the next night. They fired me the day after.
Damn. Hi, baby. Damn. Just straight up like that?
Can't you sue for that?
Yes. It was years ago. I probably could have, but you know what? I let that shit go.
Yeah, I was about to ask the same thing. Can you sue for that?
I ended up a couple of weeks later. I ended up finding another gig that paid twice what I was making with them motherfuckers. So I just let that shit go.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But worse is that they'll, and this is I'm not against people that come here, illegally and stuff like that. There's rules and laws in place, but if they're here, I'm not going to discriminate against them. So what I'm about to say, I'm just putting it here. It was times when I was hired and they wanted to pay my coworker less because she was, Mexican, but yet she was speaking Spanish and doing all this extra stuff, and they was paying her $9 an hour. she was there longer than me. Now that's unfair in itself.
First off, can we talk about? Okay, first off, $9 is a pathetic wage for any job whatsoever. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody should be getting paid $9 an hour. You could be fucking let someone. You could turn on the TV for like an old person, and you should be getting paid like $20 an hour. Honestly, but my thing is because a lot of low wage workers get paid so pitifully, they don't have a lot of power to like renegotiate. No. They don't have a lot of power to really do anything because, you know, they don't have that foundation. They're always one paycheck away from like poverty, straight up homelessness and shit. Yeah. So
fuck one paycheck away, nigga. They're in poverty, even with the money they have, because even with that little bit of money, they can't afford to do shit.
No, they can see, but the thing is, like, it depends on what area you're in. That's why I said it like that, because it does depend what area you're in.
Oh yeah,
getting paid $9 an hour in Alabama is much different than getting paid $9 an hour in New York. You know what I'm saying? So depending on the environment that you're in, your money can go a little bit further. But the problem is that the American worker has been so like disempowered to the point where, like, even when you was talking about your experience, Dion, the fact that you were expected to come back to work the next day after like an incident happened to you, you know what I'm saying? Like, that shit will not fly in Sweden. In Sweden, motherfuckers is getting fired if that shit happened to you. You know what I'm saying? And you getting compensation for that shit. So the fact that shit happened to you and like they just, you know, glossed it over and you were able to find a job that paid more and, you know, you went there, like, that's the problem within itself. You shouldn't have to be subject to that type of treatment. The American workers should not be subject to working so many hours to the point where they're not seeing their families. The American workers should not be subject to fucking wages that don't pay shit. You know, like, there's so much that goes into just a proper work environment. Just even going to work in itself is anxiety for a lot of people because they got to deal with traffic. You know what I'm saying? They got to deal with people that don't want to be there as well. They got to deal with incompetent managers. They got to deal with incompetent HR. Finding a job is even harder than it was 10 motherfucking years ago. Even with all the technological advancements that we have now, shit is getting automated. So a lot of jobs, like in the next 30 to 40 years, is going to disappear. Like,
fuck 30 to 40. I think 10.
I mean, the way technology is advancing, but the thing is, there's still, like, even in 10 years, there's still going to be a need for labor. There's still going to be people that have to optimize systems. There's still going to be people that have to design different ways to implement certain things. So it's still going to be relatively healthy, but where it's going right now, shit. You know what I'm saying? And the really sad part is the people that are coming up. You know, our children that are coming up, they're going to inherit an economy that has absolutely nothing for them at the rate that we're going. Because, you know, I read this YouTube, comment, and it said that, like, yo, so if you're working and you're not getting adequate, you know, you're not getting like adequate compensation for your work, you're basically just delaying the inevitable. And by the inevitable, he meant you're going to get to a point where you look back at all the shit that you've done and like the time that you put into the company, and you're going to have fucking regret. And then that shit is going to make you stressed. That shit is going to make you depressed. And I feel like a lot of people have experienced that, where they come home after a day of work and then they got to do it the next day. And it's just like fucking soul crushing. The fact that you are stuck in this predicament, you can't move. You don't feel like you have freedom, and you just feel constricted. You know what I'm saying? Like at this damn job. I felt that way when I was at Walmart, and I only went there, bro. And I only went there to get a fucking laptop. You know what I'm saying? Like, I made my mind, once I get enough money for this laptop, I was leaving.